Sahana Bhavatu, and then we'll start. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Sadashiva Samarambham
Sadashiva Samarambham
Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Asmadacharya Paryantam
Asmadacharya Paryantam
Vande Guru Paramparam.
Vande Guru Paramparam.
So last session we saw verse 75, so where it was talking about using the Vachyartha, not using the Vachyartha, but using Lakshyartha. So the intended meaning is more important than the literal meaning which the words convey. So these verses what we are discussing, they are more on the Aikya part. Until now, in Vivekachudamani, Shankaracharya has already explained what is the crux of Jiva, and the crux of Jiva is Atma. And what is the crux of the Parama, the cause, the ultimate cause, that is also Chit and that is Sachidananda. So Atma is also Chit, Sachidananda is also Chit. So basically, these two ingredients when you see, then Tat is equal to Tvam. You are that. So it comes in very clearly only when the equation is between Chit is equal to Chit. So the way Shastra is proceeding is from the Jiva's side, from the inquirer's side, it was trying to point out all that which the Jiva is not. And while removing all that which one is not, what was derived, which cannot be negated, was consciousness. That witness which is a Sakshi in all avasthas, including Sushupti, where mind is resolved. So each of not me was identified. So not me includes Shariratraya, Avasthatraya, Panchakosha, any model you can take it. So all these were the not me which were identified. The real me part was indicated and pointed out very clearly as the witness which is available in all these states and which witnesses the modification of all these bodies. So that was the derivation there. So having done that, then the system had also already explained what Brahman is about. Nitya Vastu Ekam Brahma Tad Vyatiriktam Sarvam Anityam. So there is only one Nitya Vastu which always exists. Tad Vyatiriktam Sarvam Anityam. And it is of the nature of Satchitananda, in which Chit is the real thing. The nature of that, the way it exists is in the form of Chit basically. That's the only thing which is there. And basically that Chit only is equated to the derived Chit from this side as well. And Chit being one thing, Nitya Vastu Ekam, one thing, it is indivisible. So the moment you identify the Chit from your side, the inquirer's side, the job is already done. Because this derived Chit, bereft of all the wrong conclusions and wrong identifications, is the only thing that exists. So naturally, when you have arrived at that particular Chit, which is the witness, you as the witness, not as Shariratraya, not as Dehaha, not as Manaha, not as Buddhihi. When you have already arrived at yourself as the witness, job is already done. Because Shastra already pointed out that this witness is always there, and it is proven by the fact from our first hand experience that it is able to even witness a situation when mind is resolved. Mind is one thing which objectifies kind of everything other than mind in the transactionary world. So the moment you go to the next level, you understand that when mind is resolved, which is basically the instrument for transactions, instrument for getting any vritti for that matter, any experience for that matter, when it is resolved, it was seen very clearly that that resolved state was also witnessed by oneself. That oneself is Chit. So that Chit is presented as something which transcends time, which has no limitation in terms of time and space. It always exists. So having done that, we have already arrived at ourselves as that one thing. That Chit is indivisible, it always exists. So when we have arrived at ourselves as that Chit, which is beyond space and time, we have arrived at that Ekam, Nitya Vastu Ekam. So we have already arrived at that one thing which is an undivided whole without a second. Now when we have arrived at ourselves this way, by removing the wrong identification, the job is already done. Now the only clarification one can have is, we had parked Viveka long back, maybe in the 11th verse or somewhere, where we had used that as a stepping stone, as a sadhana, and based on that and some more sadhana, we had started the inquiry. So the postulate there was that Nitya Vastu Ekam, Brahman, Tat Yatiriktam, apart from that, Sarvam Anityam. Apart from that, everything else is Anitya, meaning they are subjected to time and space. But that Nitya Vastu, the reason it is also said Nitya Vastu, Nitya, is because one has to understand that it transcends time and space. It is not limited by time and space. So that we had started our inquiry keeping that in mind, and that was one of the important sadhana as well. Gaining Viveka was one of the important sadhana. Why? In our Purushartha, we came into Vedanta seeking rescue in Vedanta only because Dharma, Artha, Kama we have been pursuing. There have been issues. It can be, of whatever severity. Even confusion and ambiguity is also a big deal. It's also an issue. One may not have any problem in terms of, the worldly pleasures, in terms of having people, money, everything may be there. But still, this question of who am I and what is ultimate, why things keep changing, to know this, to overcome that ignorance, can also be a big deal. So ignorance is a big deal, and that can create ambiguity, can create a problem. So it was very clearly mentioned that is one of the value, right, in terms of Viveka, and based on Viveka only we get Vairagya, which is the next value. So Vairagya is mostly on matters related to transactionary world, which is about samsara. Anything that is related to Vishaya Ananda, objects based Sukha or events based Sukha. So on that only we were kind of kind of putting a block, putting a pause, because we were very clear that there is one Vastu which is Nitya, everything else is Anitya. So we were putting that everything else part as as a thing to be pursued later, just to be bundled and kept aside until the time the inquiry continues. So Vairagya is that Vairagya is natural and well established if it is based on Viveka. Nitya Vastu Vekam, if Shastra is saying, and if we have Shraddha in Shastra, we have to understand that there is only one Vastu that exists. Okay, if there is one Vastu that exists, as an inquirer, when I am starting, I have to understand who am I, what is my relationship with that one Vastu. This is where we started and proceeded thus far. Now, Shastra has pointed out who we are, as I said, by reducing, or not reducing, you can say, by giving the clarity in terms of what is the crux of this inquirer, and within this inquirer, what are those elements which are time bound, so they are eliminated, and within this inquirer, what is that particular thing which is not bound by time, and that is what was pointed out as Chit. In these verses, Shankaracharya is explaining as to how this Tat is equal to Tvam. That is what is happening, and why one has to do this. One has to do this because there will always be a query, even after the 75th verse, there will be a query saying, no, how come? Tat is that which transcends everything, all pervasive, all potential, all knowledge. And I am that who's yet to even finish Vivekachudamani. So how can this be equated to that? So this question will crop up. All the time this will keep cropping up. And there will be doubt that will be raised, say, in terms of Shastra itself, saying, oh, how come that be equal to Tvam? So this is why one has to take up these words, analyze them threadbare to a level that the doubt which is there in the minds of the inquirer or every inquirer has to be removed. And this pursuit being of the nature of Vichara, one cannot say that just take it as my word and proceed. That cannot happen. The take it as my word can be said at the time of beginning of our sadhana, where Viveka was presented as Nitya Vastu Vivekam Brahman, Tad Vyatiriktam Sarvam Anityam, I am eva Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha. So there it's okay to postulate. But later it was very clearly mentioned, Vastu Siddhihi Vicharena. This pursuit is in the form of inquiry. So inquiry will involve doubts. The doubts have to be logically dispelled. They will be satisfied. So after coming all this while, when someone says, no, I don't see really Tat is equal to Tvam because of these reasons, but how come Shastra is saying this? At that time one cannot say that no, we have discussed thus far, don't raise any more doubt, no, just accept and proceed. That's not the way Shastra also works. Shastra keeps clarifying points at every stage. So these verses are meant basically for that purpose. So that's the reason we are going more into grammatical angle as well. So from that sense only, verse 75 was saying that whenever we interpret Shastra, whenever Shastra is revealing knowledge, do not go just by that Vachyartha, that immediate meaning of what the words convey. You should go by the intended meaning, implied meaning. So you have to dwell a little bit more on that with the help of someone who knows, and then interpret it and get the benefit. So this is what that Sampradaya is saying. The Guru Parampara is saying that when Tat is equated to Tvam, it is equated in the sense that Tat, as perceived, minus the wrong perceptions equal to purified Tat, the right understanding of Tat. Tvam minus all the wrong notions is the purified Tvam. Now, purified understanding of Tat is equal to purified understanding of Tvam. So, the purified form, the refined understanding on both the sides only is being equated by Shastra and not directly TAT is equal to TWAM. Even from spelling one can say no, these are not the same. So that's how one can say, if you see mathematically. So these verses, what you see, this and the subsequent verses, they are an attempt to convey the methodology through which Shastra is conveying this. So that's what is happening. So 76 is also on similar lines. I'll read this from the text. Tayor virodho ayam upadhi kalpitah na vastavah kaschit upadhireshah ishasya maya mahadadi karanam jivasya karyam shrunu panchakoshah. I'll read the immediate translation from this. The difference or contradiction between the two is created by this upadhi. Adjunct. Adjunct is something which is very close and that poses, that kind misrepresents the original vastu. There is no real difference. Maya is the upadhi of Ishvara, which is the cause of Mahat, etc. Whereas the 5 sheets, which are a product, is the upadhi of Jiva. So, when we say 2 sides, so on this side, Nitya Vastu Ekam, Tad Vyatiriktam Sarvam Anityam, that was presented very clearly. Now, if that Nitya Vastu is one, why do I see Jagat as in so many forms? Why do I see so many galaxies? Why do I see a difference between proton, neutron, electron, which is a substratum of things? And again, those further divided into particles, then that again divided into something else. So, why do we see variety? Why do we see first of all a manifest world? And why do we also have an unmanifest form as well, which eventually manifests? Why do we have these changes? So that's where it is presented very clearly. Brahman plus Maya is equal to Jagat. That's where that Maya part is brought in. And Maya, if it is being brought in, it is also presented as that which cannot be categorically defined. Mahadbhutam Anirvachaniya Rupa. This was already presented in one of the verses earlier when Maya was being discussed. So Maya is not that particular thing where it creates a world and then you have to deal with the scrap of the world as we deal with e-waste. It doesn't do like that actually. Maya is such an amazing thing that when the undoing part has to happen, it happens so seamlessly that you don't need a recycler at all. You don't need a recycler to actually put back all this Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, this galaxy, that galaxy, everything into one bag and then make it invisible. No, it is not required. Thank God it doesn't work that way. Otherwise, even for Brahman also, it would have been a Brahma Prayatna. So we use this word Brahma Prayatna to say that, something, if there is a difficult work, we call it Brahma Prayatna. So for Brahman also it will be a Brahma Prayatna. So luckily, the recycling part from a Mahat perspective does not work that way. It is just seamless. Brahman plus Maya is world. That's on the other side, Tat side. And on the Tvam side, our side much more you can, relate. Our side, it's very clear. Our understanding is we have this body, mind, sense complex, and there is a kind of indweller who is identifying with all these 3. This side is even more clear. Here it says for the Jiva, Panchakosha is that particular distorting factor, Upadhi. So the Panchakosha, this Tattva, what's happening inside, which is a hardware plus software. Hardware plus software makes all the difference. If it is just hardware, it is pure Jada, but software gives an impression that it has Chetana. Because it uses the Chetana to really even show that it has Chetana. In the case of a computer, for example, you have hardware part and you have a software part which is a little more subtle, but the software thrives with the help of, with the concept of the electronic signals, the electric signals, where the tattva is very simple. A signal is existing or a signal is not existing. That's all. An electrical charge is there or not there. It is power on, power off. So power on is shown as number 1, used as number 1. Power off is used as number 2. That's all. Sorry, 0. Power off is taken as 0. So this is how we have these binary bits. So 1 and 0 become the pattern, and it is just this on and off digital thing which is used as the basis, and power is the basis on which this interpretation is used. This interpretation is the basis on which the entire coding is dependent, and this chip which is more like a semiconductor. It is straight away not a conductor. It is a semiconductor. That's the reason it helps in recognizing this on and off pattern. So power, if you take that as that ultimate chit, that getting converted, not converted, power, when you have power, to some extent you can say you have power on at a particular point of time and power off at a particular point in time. This interpretation is picked up by the semiconductor, and after that you write the code, and then that gives an impression saying it has its own identity. That software has its own identity. When we log into a software, we put our ID, password, everything. It gives that impression that it is working. It knows everything. It does that. But the entire tattva is based on power. Switch off, everything is gone. You may say you have a inverter. Take out that power, everything is gone. Again, you have a battery. Take out that, everything is gone. So one has to understand that actually, that in this body mind sense complex, mind has an amazing power. Mind and buddhi, this sukshma sharira has an amazing power to borrow the power of chit, which I was equating towards the electricity, chit, and portray as though it is an independent entity, a thinking entity. Actually, its power of thinking comes from chit, which has that ingredient of witnessing, understanding, objectifying. That ingredient of understanding, that's why that's called knowledge. Chit is of the form of knowledge. So that ingredient is the basis on which this entire manas, which is like a software, can actually work, can bring in signals saying, oh, this is sweet, oh, this is cold, this is heat. Everything it brings in, it is more like a tool. It is karana. But the one who's interpreting is basically interpreting based on the chit, the borrowed chit power, which is just everywhere. So that one has to understand. So from our side, from Tvam, basically our side, Aham side, it is very clear. Give away this Sthula Sharira, Shukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira as an understanding. What remains is that Chit, which is the basis of everything. So this side we can arrive at faster. This is why Atma Vidya, when is Atma, it is more like a self-realization actually. God realization is more self-realization, because the moment you arrive at yourself as Chit, job is done. Nitya Vastu Ekam, Chit is also Ekam. When Chit is Ekam, I don't need to actually look at the Nitya Vastu any longer now. But for the pursuit to conclude logically, from where we started, you have to go back to that, and the person will certainly ask, hey Shastra, hey Maya, I have understood what you're saying. I have given up my understanding, my wrong identification of all this Shariratraya or Avasthatraya, Kalatraya, all these I have given up. I am now just existing as Chit. I do not hold myself, as a limited being. I am very clear. As Chit, I am everywhere. I am very clear about this. I'll come back to that as to as Chit, why we are everywhere. That I'll come back to that. So as Chit, I understand I am indivisible. However, you mentioned earlier that there is one Vastu which is Nitya, and that is Ekam. Can you tell me, if I am everywhere, what is that Vastu which is Nitya? Now I understand that as Chit I am everywhere. Now you also already said that there is one Nitya Vastu, that is Ekam. Can you let me know what is that? That's where Shastra says, boss, tat tvamesi, tat tvameva asi. You are only that. There only the Aikya is, established. Job is done there actually. After that, there is no pursuit actually. So, in this pursuit, from our side, with all these inputs what's been given, from our side, if one is able to objectively understand all the ingredients in us that undergo a change, and naturally, the one who is seeing all changes is the changeless. Again, we should not say that I want to see the changeless. That the one who wants to see the changeless is the one who, who has to be seen. So you don't need to see yourself. You have to see in the sense of seeing, like we know that sun doesn't rise or set. So when someone is explained saying because of a spherical shape, you see that it comes and goes down, but actually it's not going down. Earth is moving around sun. So when this happens, a person says, oh, I see. That I see is more important. That seeing is more important. That seeing is what mentioned by Shastra. So once one understands that, job is done. There's nothing else that needs to be done after that. But as I said, Aikya has to happen. That one thing which we started with has to be also dispelled, saying, yes, we said there is one thing which is Nitya. Now understand yourself to be that only Nitya. There is no other Nitya. You are the only Nitya Vastu. That's all. There is nothing else apart from you that is Nitya. This is what is happening in these lines. So if you see again, then why it is appearing differently? That Shastra is saying. On Tat side, because of Maya, you see the Anitya coming out, and on the inquirer's side, Jiva's side, you see this, which is mind and body, which is a great thing, due to which you get deluded and you forget yourself. So it presents the root cause on both the sides. It presents. And again, why it has to present the root cause on the other side? On Tat side, on Tvam side, everything is clear. If I am clear about me, why should I worry about something else? Because mind being what it is, it will always keep asking, "Oh, kyun hua? Aise kyun hua? Why Shiva has only, why only Shiva has 3 eyes?" All this it will ask. Everything is, whatever it is, we have to see things as they are. And when it is Tatparya can be definitely given to satisfy the logical mind. So that can definitely be done. But Shastra is helping us to understand why Tat looks like this. If Tat was only one Vastu, why is it looking like this? It is like, I see Jagat in front of me. Why is it looking? So Mahat. So Mahat, from that Jagat, all this actually can say. So that's why Shastra is saying, boss, it is because of Maya. And then if I am Chit, why am I, kind of forced to have this wrong identity with all this Panchakosha and undergo problems of samsara and have the chance, luckily, to stumble upon Vedanta and then understand that, oh, this is the wrong understanding and the right understanding is this. Why should this happen? Somewhere one has to say that, boss, this is because of Panchakosha, whatever it is. From there you have to bring in saying, this is your karma. Swamiji says sometimes, if the person keeps on saying, why prarabdha karma, this, why this should be there? The Swamiji used to say, that's because my prarabdha, no, because I had to explain. He used to say that actually. So basically, logic can be given unendingly by Shastra. But what is the purport? The purport is to move into the right understanding, give up the wrong understanding. So from that idea only, from that background only, it is trying to say, Tat side, this is the root cause due to which you see things. Tvam side, this is the root cause due to which you are deluded. That's what it is saying. Moment you remove these things, it is only one. Now, okay. So before I go to the next one, I will give an opportunity for people to ask questions. Another 30 seconds and then I'll start. I don't see any hand going up, so I'll continue with the next one. So verse 77, if you see, is also on similar lines. Yeta upadhi parajivayos tayoho samyak nirase na paro na jivaha rajyam narendrasya bhatasya khetakaha tayorapohe na bhato na raja. So when I read the immediate translation, these two, Maya and Panchakosha, which was presented in the previous verse, are the upadhis of Ishvara and Jiva. When their negation is done, there is no Ishvara, no Jiva. Both sides, it's only consciousness. The kingdom is the upadhi of the king and the shield that of the soldier. When the removal of these two is done, there is no king, there is no soldier. So, if you compare role playing in drama or wherever you can say, so you have two persons. Naturally, these two persons are you take the example of twins. So who are supposed to even look the same, have a similar mindset from the same parentage. Take the example of twins. So these two, when they are given different roles in a school drama or whatever, one puts up the role of a king, the other puts up the role of a soldier. So they would be obviously dressed up accordingly, right? Now, as far as the role playing goes, one is the king, another one is the soldier, and they are conditioned by the particular upadhis. You can tell very clearly who's the king and who's the soldier. And while you do it, it's basically that upadhi, one who's having that kedaya, that shield, is obviously the soldier, the one who has all the stuff. And the one who has the crown, basically, is the king. So we know how to identify people against their roles. Minus those, the person is just the same. This is equal to this. At least in the case of twins, you can say A is equal to B, almost. So that's what is being indicated here actually. So that upadhi can make all the difference. So that's what is mentioned. Even you can take the example of the same person. In the office, he has a different role. He is playing a different role. He is called whatever. But he has got many other roles also. He is the son. He or she, whatever, is the spouse as well, and many other roles are also played by them. One can be even in the society committee as an office bearer. So there the role is different. But essentially, the person is the same. In each of these places, he may be identified separately, called separately. Somewhere he is a president, somewhere he is a clerk, somewhere he is a helper, somewhere he is a treasurer, wherever. So each place, the role may change. The role gives a different angle to that particular person, but person is necessarily the same. We don't, like grossly leave out a person there and then come back to home to act as the spouse. We don't do that. We just come, that's all. The same person only comes. So upadhi makes all the difference. When you are in the role, obviously the role makes a lot of difference actually. Minus the role, person is just the same. So this is what is being indicated by this verse. So all these verses, they are on similar lines actually. Let me go to the next one also. Since the theme is the same, I can proceed to the next one also. 78. Tatastu tau lakshanaya sulakshyau tayoho akhanda eika rasatva siddhaye nalam jahatya na tata ajahatya kintu ubhayartatmika eva bhavyam. This I am not going to take it up in detail. As I said, this is more for explaining to those who find a grammatical kind of nuance, and say that no, this is said like this way, this is said like this way. Some, in terms of logic, if someone wants to say that okay, they're not very convinced with what is said, then one has to go into certain interpretations. Because what we have is Shabda as Shabda Pramana given by Shastra. Shabda Pramana can be interpreted by anyone in any way, and they can obviously come out with certain logic. But the Guru Parampara knows how it has to be interpreted. That's where this line comes from, saying okay, there are different methods of interpretation, and this line is saying that neither you can go by this method, total negation, or nor you can go by total acceptance. It has to be a balance between a combination of these two. That is what has to be applied as a method of interpretation to understand the real purport of what Shastra is saying. Basically, to get the intended meaning, not go by the literal meaning, one has to deploy a method. That method is deployed to satisfy those people who are more into literature, who's probably staying a little bit like a cat on the wall, still not very clear about what's being said, and who wants to still ask saying, no, I don't think this is right, actually the interpretation looks to be wrong. So if they have this idea and they want really the literary brilliance, then these things would come handy. Otherwise, this is not that relevant as of now. But if someone has an interest, they can go through what Swamiji has given directly there, and any questions we have on that we can discuss further. So I'm skipping this. So I want to take verse 79 and 80 also. 79 is again the same way. Since the theme is the same, I can read out. There is no issue actually. You can also appreciate this. Whatever I said just now is the same thing here as well. As I said, the reason why it is reiterated, it's repeated, is because the doubt cannot be there in what Shastra is telling us. That's the reason, Shankaracharya is taking efforts to explain them. In fact, if you see, we have only chosen 108 verses in this book. This book is only of 108 verses of the original work of some 586 verses. If you see the 586 verses, this Aikya part is explained 4 times or 5 times what we are studying now. But here the repetition is lesser because it's already reduced. Most of the repetitions have been removed actually. So, Sa Devadatto Ayamitiha Cha Ekata Viruddha Dharmamsha Apasya Katyate Yatha Tatha Tattvamasiti Vakye Viruddha Dharman Ubhayatra Hitva. So it says here, most of us know this story of Sa Devadatta. Okay, so there's one more line which is saying, but I'll go to the English translation of this verse. Just as in the sentence, this is the Devadatta, the oneness is stated giving up the contradictory part. So too, in the sentence, you are that, giving up the contradictory parts in both the words and keeping in view the oneness in the form of consciousness. This word is very important. Consciousness. So, in fact, verse 80, that's very good actually, because 80 is the one which is the culminating one, which I was mentioning earlier as well. I'll read that 80 also in fact. Samlakshya chinmatrataya sadatmanoho. Chinmatratayaha. That's very important actually. Chinmatrataya. So, chit is the main thing actually. By pointing it out as chit, that's very important. Akhanda bhavaha parichiyate budhaihi. One understands that totality by understanding oneself to be that chit. Akhanda bhavaha parichiyate budhaihi. Evam mahavakya shatena katyate brahmatmanoho aikyam akhanda bhavaha. So it said that there are many more such Aikya Vakyas which Shastra gives. So let me go to the English translation. Just as in the sentence, this is the Devadatta, the oneness is stated giving up the contradictory part. So too, in the sentence, you are that, giving up the contradictory parts in both the words and keeping in view the oneness in the form of consciousness. Please understand this consciousness, underline that. Alone, the undividedness of the Brahman and Jiva is understood by Vivekis. In this manner, the undivided oneness of Brahman and Jiva is revealed by hundreds of Mahavakyas. So if you see 80 is really a culminating statement actually. So all this while, I already explained basically 80 only even before. So all this while, the system is been explaining the Brahman and our side as well. And then it is trying to equate at one point in time. When it is equating, we should understand what is being equated. What is being equated is Chit, which is on both the sides. All other noise on both the sides, they are removed as Anitya, and the Nitya Vastu in both these, the common thing is only Chit. So this is where I take the example of space. Space is very, very handy and it's useful for analysis because mind works that way. It helps mind to really understand the concept. So if you see a jar on this side, which is like a jug, you can call it, made of clay only. We will not even go to clay, we will go to space itself straight away. So you see an object, a computer on left side, and on the right side you see a pot. I mean, they are quite different things actually. Now simply when a person is said that okay, now you are taking these two things, now from each of this remove everything that is matter and energy. So the moment you say this, if that has to be removed, then everything will go. If a person does something about it, matter and energy has to be removed, and he will try to do that. And like when you say, you have a matter, you have antimatter, you have energy, you will have the opposite energy as well. So they come together to neutralize. So when they neutralize, from a matter and energy perspective, they will become zero. Now, when you imagine, this is for an imagination. So when you imagine a space without any of these things, left side space is equal to right side space. Without any doubt, there is no doubt. And again, to say left side and right side itself will be wrong because there is nothing in between also. But mind always comes up with this left, right, front, back, up, down. No, that's the reason words have to convey what mind understands. That's the reason we should still use the word left side is equal to right or not equal to right. We have to use those words. But the moment you get into this understanding, when you say left side is pure space because matter and energy gone, right side is pure space because matter and energy gone, left side space is equal to right side space, then equal to ke jagah pe kya hai? That is also space. When this is also space, middle is also space, left is also space, right is also space. Where is the space in between? There is no gap in between. So if there is no gap in between, where is left and where is right? This is what is called Akhanda Bhava. You start with the idea of Khanda because that is how mind understands things. So it was presented, left side is a computer, right side is a pot, because that is how transactionary world works. That's what we have been perceiving world. The moment it was presented, then the same transactionary world idea is used. Please incinerate this, incinerate this. And when I am saying it is not a simple incineration, it is just that not conversion of matter into energy. We are saying an ultimate resolution where we say matter and antimatter come together, energy and opposite energy come together, they neutralize. So imagine a situation where the matter and energy neutralize, you have a pure space, absolute space, and in absolute space, now you apply your mind to understand, is there any difference that one can make out? If at all one can make out, eternally they can keep trying. So while a person does inquiry this way, one understands very clearly the absolute space has absolutely no difference. It is just one thing, an undivided whole. WHOLE. So it's an undivided whole This is the term, this is the understanding of Akhanda Bhava. No parts. So, now you have to appropriate the same understanding to Chit. And this is the real secret. Understand your Chit, you know yourself. And once you know yourself, you already know that Jagat Karana, because Jagat Karana is this Chit only. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. That's what it is actually. It is of the word knowledge, it is of the nature of Jnanam. That is Chit actually. So once you understand, derive yourself as that Chit, automatically job is done. So now use Chit, replace Chit with that space now. As far as space was concerned, there was an inquirer who had to imagine a computer, imagine pot because it was set on the left side, right side, and neutralize, come back to absolute space. There you understand Akhanda Bhava, space is Akhanda. You understand. In this entire process, one has to understand that inquirer who was objectifying space is objectifying such an Akhanda space. Now you have to understand then who is this inquirer. This inquirer is the Chit. That Chit is the one which can even objectify the best of things, which is Akhanda. Chit is the one which can objectify even space. That's what one has to realize. In that understanding, everything else is taken care of. So once you understand that you are the boss of space, in that case what happens? Space was understood to be as Akhanda. It cannot be touched. It cannot be divided. It cannot be carried away anywhere. It is the basis of things. This is the conclusion there. Now come back to the inquirer. Who is the inquirer? Inquirer is that Vastu which cannot undergo any change. The inquirer is the Chit. Now you understand yourself to be Chit, which is the best of the things available. Now space is not there. Where you were inquiring, you were always there actually. You are everywhere. You move around everywhere. You are always conscious. You are a conscious being. Everywhere you move. Luckily, no, it is it is not like when we are in Ahmedabad, we only speak Gujarati automatically. When you come to, Mumbai, people pick up Marathi. The people will be really confused actually. Family also will be confused. If a person starts picking up the language, automatically switch the language, when he goes to another place. When you call him, he will talk in Marathi. You will not even understand Marathi. So, luckily, consciousness does not behave this way. It is not like, from one Vodafone, Gujarat Vodafone, you come to Maharashtra Vodafone. It doesn't work that way actually. This consciousness is one Akhanda Vastu. And this consciousness is that which is obtaining in us as the Nitya Vastu. Consciousness is the only Nitya Vastu. We can't even say which is close to us or which is near us or which is stuck in this package. It is us. It is just oneself. That oneself is that witness. The name of the witness, what was pointed out, is that Chit we are talking about. We are that Chit. And as Chit, we don't have any other worries because that's the only thing that exists. And that is the understanding of Akhanda. So now you just put yourself, being available in the form of Chit as a witness, okay? And then appropriate that other understanding saying, okay, even when I was inquiring about an absolute space, I could understand Akhandatva of space. Now, when I understand myself as Chit and I am the inquirer, I am available everywhere, then space is gone. The understanding of space is gone. And if space is gone, whatever Akhandatva it had becomes mine actually. That's the beauty. So all of you, this is the real secret. This point is the real secret. I can tell you from my first hand realization, this is the real point. The culmination point, Aham Brahmasmi, is this. As Chit, I am available everywhere, whether I move eastwards, westwards, up, down, wherever. It's not like, normally in mobile signals, you move somewhere, the signals are not there. Luckily, we are not like that. Actually, if Chit was like that, it would have been, like this only. Like, for example, I was giving the example of software and hardware, and when the power is there, it works. Many a times you have power cut, so gone, that substratum of that is gone. Luckily, from an object perspective, space is always available, so that is a given thing for material things. You can never end space, so it is available. Now when it comes to Chit, basically you are the conscious being. That consciousness is not packed here, it is just there everywhere. You are the same consciousness. Body is moving in consciousness, you are not moving. Consciousness is intact as much as space is intact. Because space we have to use as an example, because mind understands that even better. Because it's one of the Panchabhuta, Panchamahabhuta. Mind can objectify space. But mind cannot objectify consciousness because it is dependent on that consciousness. The subset cannot objectify the universal set. But the universal set will know, oh, this is a subset. It can understand, oh, this is a part of me. It can understand. So, consciousness is the universal set. You elevate your understanding to the level of consciousness, giving up Panchakosha identity. Then you understand, oh, I am this consciousness. I was here in the kitchen, very much. I am now in the bedroom, very much I am here. I am in the class, I am the same consciousness. I got up 5 steps on the ladder, I was again the same consciousness. I went down to ground floor, I was the same consciousness. I was swimming, I was the same consciousness. It was never wet. You objectify your body, which becomes wet. You objectify your clothes, which become wet. You were never wet. That is the wetting we are doing here actually. That cannot be wetted at all. Much less it can be affected even by space. Because space is something which is not. Why we say space is not? Where you are, you are. If in a class, when you are in the class and you are Mr. X, and when the teacher says X, automatically the call goes, yes, I am here. Presence is there. So your presence is everywhere, all the time. All the time the presence is there. And when if someone is asked, are you there or not? And the person says yes. So the answer is coming through the medium of mind. The question was taken in through the medium of mind. One has to understand that was only medium. The witness who is there, once he understands that he is that real thing, witness is always there. In the form of witness, it's only one thing. There is no person taking attendance, there is no person giving attendance, because there is only one thing. So one understanding you all should get in this line is that consciousness is the boss. And what is the benefit we have? To know that Modi ji is powerful is not very helpful to us, or someone else is powerful is not very helpful to us. What is helpful to us? Modi ji is powerful, and by the way, understand you are that Modi ji. That helps. That's where the benefit is in for me. Simple as this. So we say Nitya Vastu Ekam Tad Vitariktam Sarvam Anityam. Okay. So what do we do with that? Then Shastra says, boss, you are that Nitya Vastu. Then again you ask how? Because that is also consciousness. You are also consciousness. All that is happening here is in this total consciousness only. And you are available as consciousness. You are consciousness. So this is what is very important. This line is very, very important. And this is where I can add value, because when I understood this, this was the crux of understanding. When I am that consciousness, I know very well I am everywhere. And after that, body becomes a very clear idea of idam. This body is moving in this consciousness, using that power of Chit to operate. That's all. That's all. And when we think we are stuck, world is so big for us. When you think you are everywhere, you understand that, wow, in this consciousness, which I am, which is one, now through the medium of mind, which even this jiva has, this jiva, not me, this jiva has, I can see that this entire consciousness, which is me, is being used by so many jivas. And also anatma. You have all this jiva vastu, which is all chetana vastu, which is lying there. You can say they are moving around, and you have this hill, you have this mountain, you have this your desert, you have this everything, rivers flowing, everything is happening there, and it is just one me in which everything is happening. So in that understanding of one me, which is a witness, the unchanging witness, in which everything else is happening, the entire jagat is gone, submerged in that, and the idea of an ultimate cause is also submerged in that, because one is that in which everything else is happening. So basically, the takeaway from this session is that please understand, it is just that chit. You are that chit. And all the while what we have been doing is to remove the identification of everything else, coming down to the identification of chit. The tricky point here is, don't use your mind to objectify chit. वो कैसे दिखेगा? When chit is everything, you can't show another mirror to objectify chit. The maximum mirror that can be provided to help chit understand itself, even if you call it so, it is Shastra. Shastra is the biggest mirror, which is of that nature, which can make one understand oneself. You cannot find another mirror of Mercury at all. So, give up the understanding that you want to see yourself from the sense of five senses. You can see yourself definitely in the sense of seeing. As I said, yes, sun does not rise or set. I see, I know. That know, that see is very important. That is what is jnana. That's all. This is not at all a big deal at all. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. Understand yourself as chit. Job is done. Job is done. Because even from a mind perspective, you have understood that absolute space is amazing. It is indivisible. It has no equal space like that at all. Nothing which is equal to that. Because anything you can say is a thing, is matter and energy, you are neutralizing. Anything you think of, you will neutralize it. But space is not something which you can neutralize. The only way you can neutralize space is in the understanding of oneself being chit, which is always objectifying even space. And when you are there, space cannot be there. This is where one has to understand Ishvara's, this one is Maya. Now if you see, Maya and this Panchakosha ignorance is just the same. One is Chit. The moment you do not know you are that Chit, Maya has played its role. That's what is ignorance. And that's what is self-ignorance. When I do not know I am that Chit which is everywhere, in which everything is existing, I become a jiva, and world is natural corollary. It's a natural corollary. You have a full circle. You can identify it. You can take the example of a 2D stuff which is circular, completely there. It's full. Now you just put a point there, and the circle that particular 2D identifies itself at one point. Obviously the entire rest of it becomes world. It becomes jagat, simple. So only when the understanding becomes to a limited thing, from the whole understanding, holistic understanding, jagat is available. The moment its understanding is throughout, automatically jagat is not there, because you are everything already know. Apart from me, there is nothing else there actually. So this is the real trick. In fact, though I would proceed later also in the subsequent sessions using what is mentioned in this book, the concept what I am saying is a simple discussion we should keep on having until the time we understand. That's the crux. This is the real crux actually. Okay, so with this I'll stop. I know it's already, I think, 7:35 or something, 7:37. If people have questions, I'm available for clarifying. We'll give another 1 minute if people have questions.
Bhaskar ji,
Yes, yes, Sonia.
I just wanted to actually say that first line we said that by logic we are trying to understand, and then we have to see. Of course, we can't see through the sense organs, but then eventually we see. Now the gap between, because logically most of us we understand, okay, this is there, but the gap between this logic and this seeing, there is a gap there. The moment that gap will be filled, probably the seeing will happen. Now that gap has to be filled by constant vichara. Is it like that? That vichara, that constant vichara keeps happening. I keep on this pursuit, and I try to, I mean the body mind sense complex, because till the time the seeing doesn't happen, howsoever logically I understand, I continue to be body mind sense complex.
Yes.
And the vichara is done by body mind sense complex.
Correct.
So the more the vichara is done, I keep doing the vichara, and vichara not only means the vichara means thinking or contemplation only. Vichara also that in every situation of the life of the jiva, body mind sense complex, in every thought, in every emotion, because ultimately jiva is body mind sense complex. Man, buddhi, ahankar, chitta. Correct. That is all what I am. So in every moment, in every thought, in every feeling, in every intellectual or thing, I apply that vichara, and then probably somewhere the time will come where the jiva drops and seeing happens.
Yes.
Is it that gap? Is that gap that, or is there something else to be done?
See, vichara is definitely the method, and that has to be there. That's a necessary ingredient, and that cannot be avoided. So vichara only leads to removal of wrong understanding. So we start with the problem of wrong understanding. We have to move to right understanding. That's where vichara plays an important role. And if we say logic is what we are using to understand, logic is also something which is a tool which becomes a karana and thrown out in the ultimate understanding. So logic also finally, when the ultimate understanding, everything merges actually, only the chit is available, everything else merges. So this example is very nicely given in Mandukya Upanishad, in this Karika of Gaudapadacharya. So he gives a very nice example there. He gives the example of a lamp to explain this entire realization concept. So he says that the wick in that lamp is equated to the ego, so the wrongly identified person, and this oil in that is the set of vasanas. So basically the purva karma or whatever is there, makes us do so many things, act, karma. So it makes us do that. So that is equated to vasanas. Here, when you give the light of knowledge, that's where the fire comes actually. Fire is basically knowledge. When you give that, the ego along with the vasana vanishes.
Right.
And when things vanish, even the light which came to help out also goes off. So when Shastra is operating, it is giving us logic, using this, that, finally everything becomes tool. Shastra is also a tool. Finally the self is beyond Shastra, and Shastra is a subset of self. That's the reason everything including logic goes off into this. And when things resolve, it just is available as a witness, pure witness. So in that sense, yes, this inquiry becomes one of the important, indispensable thing in this process. Yes.
Thank you, Bhaskar.
Okay, welcome. Fine, we'll chant Purnamada. So please dwell on this concept of consciousness. That's very, very important. We will have maybe little unstructured discussions also around that. We will see at what point in time we can also do it. Once we finish all the 108 verses, we'll have unstructured discussions also around that concept itself. I'll be presenting some slides which I had made for this philosophy students of Pune on Advaita Vedanta. I will be using at some point in time those slides. Maybe I can use it after 108 verses finished. I'll use them. Or as you know, you all may tell me, I'll share the slides with you all. You let me know when you want me to take that. I can do it accordingly. Okay. So we will chant Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om, all of you. Have a nice day.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Have a nice day.
Hari Om. Hari Om.